She will come for them all. To finish what she started. And break all who opposed her.
And here we go again. Right guys, welcome back to my video. This is another episode of Let's Get Cynical. So in this particular video I've done recently what was it? The pre-patch for Shadowlands and World of Warcraft. So I've completed that a couple of days ago. In fact, I actually streamed it on that particular day when I did it from basically start to finish. So if you want to go see that stream, it's about an hour and a half unedited, so catch it on the live section on my video, or videos, however it appears to you guys. So give that a watch if you just want to just see a blind run of what happens, what you actually do. But in this video I'm actually going to talk about it and be a bit cynical about it, because I have quite a few thoughts on this pre-patch when I have to compare it to the few that I've actually done in the past, a few expansions. So I found the story to the pre-patch to be okay. It wasn't mind-blowing, it wasn't life-changing or makes your perception of the story going forward that different. One thing I can say about the story going into this was short. It does feel like Blizzard has put a lot of effort into the marketing, predominantly just the marketing, and any of the trailers that we've seen so far outside of this patch, which I've got mixed feelings of. So I mean, it's nice seeing some of those short videos that they've done. The animations, they're actually really nice to watch, so I recommend you go watch that when you haven't got the chance at some point. But there is a bit of a shallow feeling when you're playing the game itself, and the story presentation is a little hollow. I found that a little strange, because really the breadth of the story, like, it should grip you on the game itself when you're doing that pre-patch. So the overall story is okay. It's kind of split into two. One of these sections is incredibly short, if that's why I'm saying if you can classify as a story. But I'll cover the bulk of it, which involves you going to Icecrown. You go back into Wrath of the Lich King continent. The game takes you there basically to what you need to do. So you go to where the Argent Grounds are. To those played the game before, that's where the Trial of Champions, or Crusader, depending what you want to call it, that's where that's located in that particular faction. So for the new player that's not done Wrath of the Lich King, that's where the lead up to Icecrown Citadel was actually. So this was after Old Hour was released. So I mean, the dailies were nice, that content was nice, but yeah, even the story there is incredibly short. I mean, it takes you to do a few activities, a few quests, and it makes you do some dailies. When I was doing the quests and doing some of the dailies, I was like, did I accidentally click on the original old Wrath of the Lich King dailies? Because there weren't. When I was doing those daily quests, it felt like I was doing exactly like I've done them before. I'm like, surely I've done this daily quest before. So it generally feels like Blizzard might have rehashed the daily quests. We've seen them rehash content. I've never seen them rehash dailies, which makes this pre-patch feel even more hollow, which also makes me think Blizzard are really not targeting, but they really don't seem to care about veteran players or players that played in the past. They just don't seem to care, because that was a bit of a low blow. I'm like, this is fine if this is the first time you've done these daily quests. They weren't pertinent back in the day, they were just something nice to do, but yeah, I want to show how I feel about this. So pre-patch event that doesn't already have a lot of rehash content in it. Okay, there you go. It also, the way also just gets you into that, and also when you go into the zone, it feels very shoehorned for you to go into there, because there's nothing much going on in that zone other than just that. The mobs have been scaled up, that's fine I guess, but there's generally nothing much in that zone to do at all. Even before you go into Icecrown, I forgot to mention, the quest first makes you go into the Barrens and then onto the Crossroads. This is if you play Horde. I've not played Alliance, but I'm only covering Horde side. And when I went to the Crossroads, I went, this feels familiar. I feel like I've done this before in a pre-patch before, and yes, I have. I think it was before either World of the Draenor or Legion. Can't remember which one, but you basically go to the Crossroads and there's an invasion. So even that was rehashed. So that was disappointing. And when you've done your quest in Icecrown, you are left with just dailies, not much for rep, but there's also world, what are you going to call them? It's not world quests. There's rare mobs. The flag does rare, but they're not really rare. They're spawning like every 10-20 minutes. And they have no use to the story or anything like that, so which is a bit rubbish. They seem to just drop items. I think one of them drops a bag. I don't really care if they're only dropping items or mounts. Yeah, they're dropping mounts as well. I'm not too fussed, but I've been told they're time limited just for this pre-patch. But that kind of, so the way they've integrated these items into this time limited event, what pre-patches are time limited, you can't do them again, with these bosses that you just can farm just constantly on the go. Considering at this time of recording of this video, it's a couple of days before the actual expansion hits. I believe the pre-patch was about 2 weeks before the launch. It feels like the item that they're dropping in these mobs around just Icecrown only, being time limited, it feels like this is Blizzard's way of making people resub to the game to acquire those rare items, those time limited items I should say. For those that, one, don't intend to buy the expansion soon or haven't bought the expansion yet, so this feels like this is Blizzard's way of getting people to resub back to the game and just cash in on that. And that's what this pre-patch feels like. Feels like this is Blizzard's attempt of just getting many people as they can in a couple of weeks before the expansion launches. Before, like, to my recollection of the pre-patch events, it was just for the story. It was just a good way of introducing you into the expansion. There wasn't actually anything that the pre-patch provided to you with any sort of rarity. I mean, by rare I mean, you know, if you only care to do these because they're time limited. The fact that they introduced time limited items for people who are active 2 weeks or something like that, or makes you resub to the game to do this, is a bit of a low blow. It feels like Blizzard detracted away from the content to deliver in a pre-patch, the story, the engagement that leads up to the expansion, and not here's some items, here's some loot, here's something to carrot on a stick to come back into the game. So that's not a great approach in my honest opinion. That's what this whole method is the method of pre-patch that they've done. So it's a shame. It's I wish the story even there was more refined just for this pre-patch, so less rehashing, a longer story, because I don't know, I was done very quickly and I did it blind and I didn't look into any research to it, not like you need to anyway. So that was a shame. So I just feel like these quests should have more breadth to them, something to experience on a journey into the next expansion that's coming, so it'd be a really good way. So I'd be okay, and I'm always been fine with if they're making players resub to the game because they want them to enjoy the game and the story that goes into it, because Blizzard have become more story driven into World of Warcraft since I want to say World of the Draenor, but really Legion really nailed that to begin with, significantly more. So they just should have just focused on that rather than give a very hollow feeling pre-patch. And it's just loot pinata basically. So I hate that approach for them. And hopefully the next expansion, whatever that'll be, they move away from this design. And you know, those bosses, world mobs, or whatever you want to call them, they die in a couple of seconds. They just get zerged down really quickly. So that makes this not feeling any great. There's no like end encounter that you get to do. I would have been happy if they just had, you know, you go into like some sort of dungeon or reuse a dungeon to go into this, because that would have been much more fun. I would have been really happy going into like one of the Ice Crown dungeons that we had back in the Wrath of the Lich King when Ice Crown raid was released. We actually had 3 dungeons. That would have been fantastic to even just go in one of them and you just go through it in a story driven way, and or have all 3 of them and have something there, something. You go in a group of 5, maybe 10, they've got their flexible mode, just have something, or just use a wing of Ice Crown Citadel, and just, I don't know, just have something that doesn't, just feeling like it's less hollow than what it is right now. That's all it is, and that's my feelings on that. So I was left very disappointed. They could have done so much more, honestly. If they're going to rehash it well. That's my take on that portion. And I also mentioned there was a second part to the story when you get into it. So it's quite a quick one, so at least for Horde it's significantly quicker. I'm not too sure about Alliance, but Nathanos, I think that's how you pronounce his name, he's a world boss. Now there's no like quest line to lead up to him. You accept that one quest from the NPC right at the beginning of this pre-patch event and you go straight to where he is, and he's a proper world boss, and this was actually fun to do. The boss is quite good fun. We saw a lot of death that you can see in my stream. We even wiped once as a whole raid. I think we wiped as a whole raid, or wiped the whole group before we turned to trade. Never mind. I'll try put that here so you can see a portion of the fight. It's not mechanically challenging. You just avoid stuff on the floor and don't get hit. That's the rule of anything. But yeah, the thing that I really liked the most about this whole portion of the encounter was the cutscene afterwards. I actually was not expecting that in any particular means. First of all, the voice actor for Nathanos, fantastic. The execution of the voice acting, which is phenomenal. It felt like that's very intentional. It's like the voice actor was really enjoying pouring their emotions, and when I say emotion, they were really conveying that particular moment. So that was a very fantastic cutscene done, and just quite how not very PG that cutscene was quite something. That's not something you'll see in Toy Story or anything like that. But yeah, the finale to that was done extremely well. It doesn't lead into anything. It may hint at stuff with the dialogue, but it was nice just to have that there for the sake of being there and just have an impactful cutscene. That just gonna say, that particular character, Hilaria? I'm gonna get that wrong. I don't play Alliance much or keep track of Alliance players. Sorry, Alliance guys. I'm Horde through and through. They're giving a lot more depth, because I always felt her taking a back burner of any of the Alliance faction leaders completely. I know you got Malfurion for Night Elves, but she just doesn't get any attention, so it's nice that she has attention now, away from Jaina, sorry. So it'd be nice to see that. So it'd be nice to see her perspective even as a Horde player, because really she's always been on the bench, so it's good seeing this. But really, just to give a sort of time frame, taking my time, so I wasn't rushing anything. I was reading my quest logs, all of that. I think the whole event took me just over an hour to complete, and I don't know, it feels a little hollow. My honest opinion, at least what I've gone through and talked about. But yeah, the story was okay. The final cutscene was the whole best bit of the pre-patch event, so very disappointing feeling pre-patch event going into the next expansion. So hopefully when the expansion drops, which I believe this video drops after the expansion actually launches, hopefully it's great. I've not really read up on the next expansion at all, actually I'm a bit blind. Hopefully the servers can handle it, and yeah, we'll see how the game actually proceeds, and I'll be covering more content in World of Warcraft, since that'll be the active game I'll be playing. Not because I'm not playing 14, I am still playing Final Fantasy 14, but it's just because that game that I lull period, so I'll be probably streaming more of that, then covering much more videos. I believe Shadowlands is going to cover more topics. I'm going to try dropping Final Fantasy 14 topics, or topic that convey both games together, and that has positive, negative gripes, anything that goes into it in between. So yeah, try to cover topics for those. My thoughts, this episode, more episodes of Let's Get Cynical, trying to make others serious as well, and just other thoughts and discussions. So if you feel not too dissimilar to what I do, make a comment in the comment section. I'd like to discuss with players, and just see what your take on this is, especially those that have done previous pre-patches. Even if to go back maybe like 1 or 2 or 3, it doesn't have to be right back to the Burning Crusades pre-patch. So let me know what you think of this, and yeah, see you around guys, and have fun in Shadowlands.